What are you doing?
A magic trick. You ever seen a can defy gravity before?
No.
Whoa! People are like, how the fuck did he do that? Magic. I used to do it on the bar so much, people get really annoyed. Do it with a Red Bull. You give them a Red Bull and they try and pick it up and say, whoa, what are you doing, mate? Whoa!
I saw you pouring a drink like that once. I tried it and dropped my can.
Exactly, that's why it's funny. Oh no, now you got to do that again, you buy another Red Bull. £3 in the till. Thanks, Karl. Given how popular the MCU is, it probably comes as no surprise to everybody watching at home that Marvel has invested a considerable sum of money at creating an expansive portfolio of reference material for every actor who appears within it. Weirdly, one actor the studio hasn't felt the need to do this with is Paul Rudd, who people working for Marvel have openly admitted hasn't aged in like 30 fucking years.
Why has Marvel gathered huge portfolios of reference material for their actors?
Because actors die and get old, superheroes don't, and Marvel have got Marvel movies planned till about 2050. All this reference material as well is incredibly useful when they decide to de-age actors, which they've started doing more and more in recent movies.
They've done it quite a lot by this point, and it's getting to the point now where it's incredibly convincing.
It's almost seamless. I think the latest movie where it's used extensively is obviously Captain Marvel, where they de-age both Clark Gregg and Samuel L. Jackson. I think the only point in that entire movie where I went, hang on, I can see where they did it. It's I'm not even sure if you'll be able to get a clip of it because it's not a thing that appeared in any of the trailers, and it's where Sam Jackson and Clark Gregg obviously are chasing down Captain Marvel when she first lands on Earth, and Clark Gregg talks to Sam Jackson but he doesn't turn his head. And I saw that and went, well, that's clearly Clark Gregg was told not to move so they can map his old face onto his new face. Whereas every other scene, obviously, it's like completely seamless. But that one, where like his character doesn't move convincingly, like, no, he sits stock still and doesn't move his face to talk to the person having a conversation with. And I saw that and I went, there it is. There's the exact point you ran out of money to use this effect. And that's why Clark Gregg is not in this movie that much, because you need to use it all for Sam fucking Jackson. And like, to be fair, like the Sam Jackson effect is amazing. And if you can get that clip in, you'll be able to show people what I mean by it. But I guess people have to go on their memories of that film otherwise. But other films where it's been used, obviously Ant-Man and the Wasp. They de-age, I think, Michael Douglas in the first Ant-Man and then Michelle Pfeiffer in the second one, which is like amazing. There's also one of the Captain Americas where like Tony Stark's in it, so Robert Downey Jr. gets de-aged. And then not to mention like a lot of like nip-tuck work they do with actors just in general.
We've also got Kurt Russell as Ego.
Yeah, they do a young Kurt Russell back in time, which also looks fucking phenomenal. I think the only time it's not being used is in the flashback scene in Ant-Man, where they've got a young Michael Douglas, but they have an old Peggy Carter. And the actress in that, they just did it with makeup and then a little bit of CGI. Apparently around her neck, because they had to make her neck more wrinkly, so they couldn't really do that with makeup. So, and apparently as well, but the actor who plays like Howard Stark, they didn't need to do anything with him. He said he's about the right age for the scene, not to mention he's old as fucking all those films anyway. He always looks like a fucking wrinkled nutsack anyway. Let's not bother wasting any CGI budget on his face. They did it as well. Didn't Peggy Carter also get aged up for the film where she dies?
Yeah, she dies in, I think, Winter Soldier.
Yeah, and they also like aged her up with like old lady makeup now. Oh man, that actress must be so pissed off. Like every time they call her back in, it's like, oh, are we going back in time? Do I get to do something cool? It's like, no, you're dying. What about in this one? Oh, you come in and you hand someone a file. Also, you're old. Oh. That's all they ever do.
So if we use Robert Downey Jr. as an example,
Yes.
Can they use any footage of him when he was younger, or is there something specific they have to look for?
Not really, no, which is why they have to have so much of it, because they want you to de-age like Robert Downey Jr.'s character by a certain amount. You need like reference footage, like specifically footage. You can use pictures for some of it, but you need footage of him in motion, so you can get like his entire face, and basically you create a mask of his face that you CGI onto his old man face. And you need to do that shit. And for that, you need reference footage in motion from the same age. And for that particular scene, they use footage of Downey Jr. in a film from the 1980s called Tough Tough, where he plays like, a scraggly-haired young teen. Now I say, and that footage was used to create like a digital mask that they put over Robert Downey Jr.'s face. And CGI artists who do this kind of thing have noted that the more footage you have, the better the effect will look.
So that's why they've tried to compile as much footage as possible.
Yeah, because the more footage you have, the better the effect will look. And because Marvel's got like big dick Disney money, they can like afford to stockpile as much fucking stock and reference footage as they need. Not to mention all the stuff they have from like the movies 10 years ago. Because like say they want to do a flashback to 10 years ago, like a lot of the actors have aged quite a bit in that time. They're not aged like normal people, which we'll get to in a moment, but Still, it's good to have that because they do a lot of digital nip-tucking in these movies, which is an element of the process that is less discussed because obviously it's about making the actors look younger, which a lot of them have like written into their contracts and things like that. I think Tom Cruise is an actor famous for this, where not only does he have like, you know, supposedly, because obviously he might sue the fuck out of us for saying this, but things in his contract that say, yeah, you have to make me look younger in the film using CGI. He also has the power to veto lines in the script that refer to him as old. So The Mummy is the famous example of that. So you can find like behind the scenes like shots of Tom Cruise where you can see like he looks good for a man in his 50s, but he looks pretty old. And then you compare it to like The Mummy, where he's just this glistening Adonis. It's like clearly someone with a computer has like, you know, made a few tweaks there. And like in the script itself, it refers to his character, who I don't remember the name of, which is not Brendan fucking Fraser. He's not Rick O'Connor, get fucked. Where the script refers to him as like a seasoned adventurer. And Tom Cruise had that line removed, a line that is never mentioned in the film itself, and is just used for reference in the script to refer to his character as being in his mid-30s. It's like, that's the level of pettiness like Tom Cruise's ego will make him go to feel younger than he is.
Allegedly.
No, we know that one for true.
Well, that one's definitely true.
That one's definitely true because the people who worked on the movie said, yeah, he came in and he rewrote everything, including a part of a script that referred to him as a seasoned adventurer to make his character 35 years old. So when you hear that, the idea that he'd also insist they use CGI to make him look younger is also understandable.
Must be pretty good for the actors though, because that means they don't need to put in any effort. They just get it all CG'd onto them.
Well, they just turn up in a tracksuit and they just like CGI, especially like someone like Robert Downey. I don't know, I feel like we're dunking on Robert Downey Jr. a little bit too hard, but I use him as the example because half the scenes he's in those movies, he's in a CGI Iron Man suit, so you literally only see this part of his face. And like, well, you'd think, yeah, maybe you can just turn up in a tracksuit or whatever, and that's like, no, like, you actually do have to put the fucking effort in. And so use Clark Gregg as an example, when they wanted to like de-age him for Captain Marvel, he was like, oh, that's cool. Do I have to do anything? And I went, well, yeah. One, you need to hit the fucking gym because, like, you know, CGI can only do so much, mate. You need to be physically in shape so you can more believably play, like, you know, a guy who's 20, 30 years younger than you are now. Like, we'll sort the rest out. We'll, like, you know, fill your hairline back out and get rid of those wrinkles, but you hit that fucking gym. It's the same for Samuel L. Jackson. Obviously, the physicality of the role is something they can't do with CGI. So he did have to, like, you know, physically get in shape. I think that's where, like, a really stupid-looking wig, which Samuel L. Jackson apparently doesn't mind. Have you ever heard about this?
No.
Like, Samuel L. Jackson, one of the few clauses he has written into his contract is that, one, he can play golf whenever he wants and the studio has to pay for it. Two, if his character has to wear a wig, he gets to pick it. Because he likes wearing stupid wigs, which is why he looks so dumb in Unbreakable.
Yeah.
To the really stupid hair he's got, Samuel L. Jackson picks it for himself. And apparently it goes back to Pulp Fiction, where in the original Pulp Fiction script, Jules is supposed to have an afro. And they sent, in Jackson's own words, some random white intern who had no idea what the fucking afro was, to like a wig store downtown. They came back with a jerry curl. And like apparently Quentin Tarantino was really annoyed about it and was yelling at this intern, like, no, go get me an afro. And then Sam Jackson put it on, looked in the mirror and went, no, this is Jules. And that's why... And the thing is, would you argue with him? But the idea that like Quentin Tarantino's like flipping his lid, yelling at this poor intern, Sam Jackson puts on, looks in the mirror and goes, no, I can make this work. I can make a man with this haircut the scariest motherfucker in this movie. And he pulls it off. And that's why Sam Jackson has such stupid hair in a lot of his movies. It's literally written into his contract, I get to pick my own hair. So if you're going to be bald and you've got to wear a wig in all your movies, fuck it, wear a stupid one. So before we continue, Brad, what's your favourite bad Samuel L. Jackson haircut? Because I'm going to, like, you know, go straight for the jugular and say his haircut in the film Jumper, where he just has, like, a fucking circa 1980 action man buzz cut that's dyed bright white. He's got Gunther from Friends' hair in that movie, and it's so shit.
I do reckon I can top that.
Okay, go for it.
Have you ever seen the, is it Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children?
I have not seen this film.
Samuel Jackson's in that, and I can't remember the name of the character. It's Mr. something.
Okay.
It's like Baron or
describe the hairdo to me then.
It's like...
And also, as you're describing it in the background, have it slowly rise into frame so the audience can experience it as I do.
I think the best way I can describe it is Christopher Lloyd in Back to the Future.
I thought you were going to say Uncle Fester then. Isn't that just Samuel L. Jackson's haircut in every other movie?
Yeah, it's like, it's just this ginormous, like, bushy white thing.
Just a big white dumb afro. Fair enough. So, is it like a perfectly round afro?
It's pretty round.
So he's got like a perfectly round afro.
Someone's definitely sculpted that white afro.
But also it looks really dumb. Fair enough. So, the thing is though, like, who's had more roles with bad hair? Is it Sam Jackson or Nick Cage? Because Nick Cage has some fucking terrible haircuts in his movie.
I mean, the one Con Air.
Con Air.
Con Air's got to come in.
Famous, when he steps out and it's just the wind blows through like the shitty wig that he's wearing, like the fucking strands of dog hair he's got sellotaped to his scalp. Oh man, I don't think Nick Cage has the same rider in his films as. What are you laughing at? Oh god, oh no. What is that?
It's from that film.
You just googled, put that image behind me. Why is Sam Jackson just a floating skull man?
It looks like he's being blasted against a wall by some power, I suppose.
Why is he a Koo from Crash Bandicoot? What's he doing? Oh, okay. You completely threw me off my train of thought. So
It's more from the exact same scene. I don't know what's happening to him in it.
what is up with Sam Jackson?
I'll find that scene from the film and I'll put it in.
That's amazing. I was about to say, maybe Nick Cage had worse hair in his roles, but that fucking tops it. Let's just continue. That cannot be beaten.
We've got one more.
You try to kill me. I'm drinking Coca-Cola here.
The description for the character does say that that's his main form, so I'm assuming that's a transformation
That's
scene.
the form he chooses to take. What a dumbass. Oh, never change Sam Jackson.
So Clark Gregg had to get into shape.
Yeah, and to continue dunking on Robert Downey Jr. just for like, a few more minutes, he also, for that scene, had to de-age him, shave off his iconic Tony Stark moustache. So it was the very last shot of the film they filmed, because they realised, well, if you try and CGI over facial hair, that's going to look stupid. What kind of a movie studio would be stupid enough to try and CGI over the actor's face and they've got facial hair in a multi-million-dollar tentpole film released in the summertime? God, I can't imagine. No example springs to mind.
No, because no example springs up because nobody would be that stupid.
Yeah, you'd have to be really desperate for a hit. You have to be really desperate as a studio to go to those lengths to reshoot a movie, wouldn't you? God, I'm so glad that there are no films like that out there.
So, should we actually talk about Paul Rudd?
Oh yeah, sure, let's talk about Paul Rudd.
So, where does Paul Rudd come into this whole de-aging thing?
Well, according to Kevin Feige, I never know how to pronounce this dude's name, the guy with the hat who runs Marvel Studios, basically. In an interview with him, he says, we've got reference material for every actor in the MCU who's appeared in any prominent manner, except for Paul Rudd, because we don't need it.
So why don't they need reference footage of Paul Rudd?
Because he hasn't fucking aged. It's a meme at this point where you can put in pictures or clips behind me, a clip of him 30 years ago. He turned 50 a few weeks ago, and he still looks like he's in his 30s. It's ridiculous.
Paul Rudd is 50.
Yes, he is.
He looks better than I do.
He looks better than everyone watching this out there. Fucking, unless Paul was watching, in which case, hi Paul, how you doing? But it's crazy to think of how little that man... He actually looks better now than he did 20, 30 years ago. And Kevin Feige, he acknowledges this and he says that none of the actors in the MCU have aged like normal people. They have all aged like fine fucking wine. Michelle Pfeiffer, I think, is the one he brings up because it was an interview about Ant-Man and the Wasp. Says she still looked fucking phenomenal. And we had to do minimal work to make her look a little bit younger. It's just basically the things that you can't really stop. The passage of time is going to happen even for, big dick movie stars. But then he specifically singles out Paul Rudd and says, even amongst all the actors we've got who've aged like fine fucking wine, Paul Rudd is an outlier and we don't understand it. And what makes this especially hilarious is when Paul Rudd was first cast in Ant-Man, all of his co-stars started giving him shit about the fact he'd not aged. I think the director came out and went, he looks like he stepped off the set of Clueless. It's fucking ridiculous. It's not fair. And all of the people working behind it had rumours about what he did. And I think there's a great quote from the director of Ant-Man and the Wasp who says, I think somewhere out there is a guy who's made a pact with Paul Rudd, some dark force, and he's actually 84 years old. And I think Evangeline Lilly says there's probably a really old looking painting of Paul Rudd in someone's attic somewhere. And then Michael Pena came up with the best one where he says, I think the guy's just got good genes. Before adding that he looks like a fetus. so just think about it, Paul Rudd gets dunked on the set of his own movies for not aging. And apparently he's really good natured about it, but he doesn't like discussing it.
Yeah.
And like, so everyone...
That sounds suspicious.
It does, doesn't it? Because obviously everyone always asks, like, is it your skincare routine? Like, do you drink a lot of water? Do you have, like, is there a lotion that you use? And he just says, no, I just, like, I exercise and I eat right. And goes, yeah, so do a lot of people, mate, and we don't all look like ageless demigods. What the fuck's up? And to my knowledge, the only time Paul Rudd has ever acknowledged the fact he hasn't aged is in an interview where someone mentions, like, are you aware of these memes going around just showing pictures of you from 30 years ago and you look exactly the same? And he sits forward, tenses his fingers and goes, I have heard about this. And that's all he says about it. Tell me your secret, Paul. I want to make these videos forever.
Do you know what would age him?
What?
I think he'd age like 50 years if he had to go up Thanos' ass.
No, we are not doing that. Endgame will already be out by the time this video is released. He's not going into the Thanos.
The Thanos.
So as we just discussed, like, actors don't age like normal people, and Paul Rudd doesn't age like normal actors. But since Paul Rudd's the outlier, let's go back and talk about actors who haven't fucking aged. Because I love this phenomenon. It's like looking up actors and going, they're how old? And I think the MCU is a good place to start. Obviously, you start with Paul Rudd and he's 50.
Yeah.
It's like, no, fuck you. Because before we recorded this video, I told you Paul Rudd was 50. And your exact response was, fuck off. And then Googled it and went, oh, he really is. And I think everyone in that series is so fucking old. And you don't realise it because they all just look fucking brilliant.
I mean, they've been doing it. Some of them have been doing it for a decade.
Yeah.
So, like, you may have thought like 30 or 40 or whatever when they started. Like, they're pushing 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
Now.
It's like, I think Downey Jr.'s in his 50s. Like, Sam Jackson's 70. 70! And he's in, like, Captain Marvel having fist fights with pussycats. What the fuck, man?
I can't believe he's 70, though. Because even without this de-aging, he looks good for 70.
That's what people said, yeah. Like, just makeup alone was enough to, like, make him believable as being 20 years fucking younger. And then the CGI is what took it, like, the other 10. It's actually ridiculous. So are there any other actors you want to throw down a gauntlet on behalf of who just haven't aged at all?
I think I'll start with Will Smith.
Oh, yeah.
Will Smith's, he's aged a bit. Like, obviously, he doesn't look the same as he does in Fresh Prince, but
of course.
He's aged very well.
Yeah. And I think he's in his 50s, and he's still still fucking killing it. So I'm going to throw one out there that not a lot of people might be aware of. But when I heard about it, my reaction was similar to your one with Paul Rudd. I went, no, fuck off.
Yeah.
And it's George Chakiris from West Side Story. You can put a picture of him like behind me now, and I'm going to tell the audience, that man is over 80 years old. And I want you to just Google a photo and just put in George Chakiris 2018 or 2019, and then tell me if that man looks like he's in his fucking 80s. I'll wait. Because this reaction is going to be like, it's going to be the Paul Rudd one times 10.
No.
Yeah, there's the reaction. I fucking love that bit.
I thought I was getting younger pictures of him.
No, that's him now. That's a man who's in his 80s. No. Yeah, that's what good genes fucking look like. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Actors, tell us your secrets, other than like spending millions on fucking looking after yourself. It's crazy, isn't it? Another one I always like is Cher. Even though she's had a fucking shit ton of plastic surgery. But the idea that Cher just reinvents herself every couple of years and just doesn't give a fuck. Also, Cher's Twitter is the craziest thing in the world. Like, if you want a good laugh, folks, go read Cher's Twitter. And just like, she's one of those Twitters, well, you can tell she writes all her own tweets. And you can, like, when she tweets out stuff like, oh, I've got a concert or a new album coming out, you can tell it's clearly written by an intern that's to wrestle the phone off her. It's crazy, man. Oh, my only hope. The thing is, though, Brad, what would you rather age like? Would you rather age like Paul Rudd and look the same as you do now? Or would you rather age like Matt LeBlanc and just get more and more refined as you get older? Because that's the choice you have, isn't it, when it comes to aging? You can either age gracefully or not fucking age. Like, Paul Rudd's obviously chosen the latter, Matt LeBlanc has gone for the former. And I think I go for the Matt LeBlanc because I think that I think I could pull it off. If I had the Mr. Fantastic, like, side tussles there, and like the rogue, like, white streak going through my hair, I think I could pull that shit off.
Clooney's the classic example of that.
Yeah.
Clooney, like, his face doesn't change too much, but his hair just got more and more silver.
Yeah, or Tom Jones. I think Tom Jones is my favourite example of that, because he used to dye his hair when he was on stage, and then he took like a year-long break, and says, whenever I took a break, what I'd do is I'd shave all my hair off and just let it grow back through, and then one year it grew back, and it had like that bit of salt and pepper going through, and I went, you know what? I can pull this off. And now he's on The Voice, and he's got like the pure white, just like fuzz on his head, and he just sits on the fucking throne next to Will.i.am going, Yeah. I'm the fucking Don right here, motherfuckers. I love it. So good. Oh, man. There's just nothing cooler than just like that pure white hair. Like on like a dignified looking older man. It's so fucking good. I can't wait.
You can't wait till they have the white hair.
Yeah, I'm gonna rock that look. And if I don't, I'm gonna be really upset. I'm gonna be so pissed off if I go grey but in spots. I'd be so annoyed about that. I want to get like you got to have the bit there, the Mr. Fantastic, or you got to have like the one bit of white that you can slick back.
What if you go bald?
Nah, mate, I am not fucking. Have you seen how thick? I have to get my hair thinned out every fucking week. It's crazy. My knob's got more chance of going bald than my head has. It's ridiculous.